Welcome back. We're travelling from Brisbane to the Flinders Ranges the long way. We headed northwest from Brisbane up to Emerald. We headed west out through Barcaldine, out through Winton, all the way to Boulia, and then onto the Plenty Highway, all the way over to the Stewart Highway in the Northern Territory. We headed south, down through Alice Springs, down the old Garn Railway to Fink, and then over into South Australia. Once we crossed the border here, we made our way into the Painted Desert, spent a couple of days there. We headed down the Oodnadatta track and had a couple of days enjoying the beauty that is Lake Eyre with water in it. We arrived in Parachilna Gorge just in time to enjoy a beautiful sunset with the sun burning onto the beautiful colours of the rocks of the gorge.
Hello and welcome to Audrey the Icon Adventures. I'm Connie.
And I'm Daryl.
And this is Audrey the Icon.
Today we plan to travel east through Parachilna Gorge and go and explore the old mining town of Blinman. A pleasant surprise that we had while driving through the gorge was there were bays with a whole series of general and recycled waste bins there for the public to use. And I think that this is really working because the area is so clean. It was great to see that we didn't have to pick up rubbish. The drive in through the gorge was quite picturesque. Just all the various colours of rock and soil in the sides of the gorge walls as we drove through. It's a little bit steep in a couple of places. It was corrugated in a few places. Nothing compared to what we'd already been on so far on this holiday. It's dirt all the way until you get to the outskirts of town, then it changes back to the blacktop. We come into town here and we pulled up just across from the cafe. There's some good new public toilets down behind the old mine office. The mine office is the information centre. We went in there and were given a copy of a self-guided walk through the town. We also were given the key to the old miner's cottage and shop across the road. There's a unique sculpture next to the old mine office. The old miner's cottage is made from the local cypress and pine trees, and then the gaps between are filled with a mortar to seal it up. The ceilings were made of like a Hessian type material. The building's been fairly well renovated and they've put a lot of the old memorabilia from back in the day in there. You can see the old dining room, school books, a couple of fireplaces. The kitchen was a separate building next door. It was lined on the outside with flattened out white spirit cans. In the kitchen, they've got an old wood stove that they've been restoring. There's a lovely selection of the old pots and pans and cooking gear. There's a restored fly-proof pantry there hanging from the ceiling and a trusty attitude adjuster standing next to the door. We had lunch at the cafe and then went exploring. The old memorial hall was closed, so we could only check out the outside, and they've got a flagpole there, and on the wall there was a plaque. As we walked down the street, we went past the old police station and you could see the old cells out the back. We walked to the cemetery. On the way back, there's this big old grader parked next to the road. So of course, I had to have a play and get my photo taken. Walking back into town, we passed Rose Cottage, the old school, the miners' cottage we looked at earlier, the cafe, and then into the pub to have a look at some of the art on the walls. Then we went for a drive up to the old chimney stacks. There were some information boards there. We saw all these sites other than doing the mine tour. We'll cover off some of these drives over the next couple of episodes. We went out past the old hospital, then we walked up to the hill. We're at the highest point we can get to today with our little journey. And off in the distance is the Flinders Ranges. I'm just panning around here because we'll end up seeing the North Flinders Ranges, Gammon Ranges. It is an incredible view from up here. It's about a 400-metre walk up from the parking spot. And I'm coming around to it now. And just over there you'll see a few people standing with Connie. That's a World War I memorial on top of this hill, put up here in 1918 or so by the children of this little town. The dirt road you can see heading, the bitumen, and then the dirt road heading off into the distance straight ahead there, that takes you out to Parachilna Gorge, which is where we're camped, as you would have seen a little earlier in this video. So it was about a 23-ish kilometre drive for us to come into town. Come out here for sure and be prepared to spend at least a few hours. As I said, I think we've been here 2 to 3 hours already. Took us a little while to walk up this hill, and 100% totally worth it. You can see for miles, as the colour of the mountains in the distance will tell you. So they have an active community here for restoring and maintaining the town, and they're doing a fantastic job. So if you're ever in this part of the Flinders, which is just above the main Flinders Range National Park, definitely allow at least a few hours to stop in. We went to the cafe/bakery, had a Cornish pastry. You've got to have these new things when the opportunity presents, and I've got to say, we enjoyed it. So just wanted to be able to share the beauty of all around here. As dry as it is, there's still a tint of green on a lot of the hills from the rain they had here. I believe it was a few weeks or so back. So you might be able to see it there. Again, cameras never do justice to the reality. There you go. We saw a few wallabies on our trek up the hill, and atop the hill was this beautiful memorial erected in 1919 as a sign of respect and remembrance for those who had fought in World War I. We explored Blinman for about 5 hours. Now it was time to head west into the sun with the dappled sunlight, back to camp. We had to dodge a few wild goat on the way. The Hyson Trail starts here in Parachilna Gorge. Back to camp to kick back and relax. After a great day out exploring, here's another beautiful sunset to finish the day with. This is our view from camp. Check out the tree just hanging out the side of the hill up there. If you have a close look, you can see all the layers of rock. Wow, look at the colours in the sides of these mountains here. I found a lookout on our map. We had to go in there and check it out. Horizontal layers on this hill make it different to all the others. On day one of our holiday, I said that we had a first of many encounters with wedge-tailed eagles. Today we're driving through Glass Gorge, and I look up as much as I'm looking where I'm driving, and when I spotted this one, I pulled over very quick, got the camera out and started clicking photos. Then a second one appeared, and it just made my day to see two eagles on the hunt together. I spent about 10 minutes here shooting photos. We're out exploring today. We're on the public access route number 4. which comes out from Parachilna Gorge via Glass Gorge. And we're on the Malulu station property part of it at the moment. And we're on an interesting section where there's a track, looks like the main track, and then there's the creek bed, and the creek bed has become a track. And the creek bed track is by far the most spectacular. We're just driving along. Well, I think we've done about 15 kilometres in the last 2 hours on this little exploration. And it's just incredible, the size of the gum trees that are down here, then all these native pines, and the colours of the rock in the gorge walls is just incredible. And when you start looking at all the layers, you can see lots of little thin layers and then thicker layers and then some really thick layers. I think the most impressive part that has really struck me is the way that these trees are just on the side of these walls, and they've obviously been there for a long time. Some of these, like this one just over here, that's a small example of what we've seen. Some of them are just massive trees hanging out of the side. Like this guy here, right in front of us, he's got a few roots down in the ground. Predominantly, he's just hanging onto the wall all the way up there, and he's got to be, oh gosh, he's going to be 10 to 15 metres high, roughly, looking at it here. So, just fantastic. We haven't hit any four-wheel drive sections yet. Thing is, I wouldn't come in here with a car with normal tyres. Definitely want to have some all-terrains, just because there is plenty of rock to drive over, and a bit of ground clearance definitely helps. As for the need of actual four-wheel drive yet, not yet. So there's plenty more to go yet on this little exploration. So just wanted to share a bit of what we've found so far. The ruggedness of these mountaintops is incredible. Just look at the way that they're layered over. They're so rough, and all the layers, the forces involved to make them however many years ago, just absolutely incredible. And this poor old ute, I think it's had its day. We're out on public access route number 5. I'll pronounce something along the lines of Pattawater Gap. And we believe that there is Pattawater Hill at 1,012 metres. And just around to the left here is the actual gap. And that goes into the Nilpena Pound, I think it's called. You can't drive in there. We drove all the way to the end. You may see the track on the side of the hill there in the blank section, and takes you around towards the gap. You do hit a gate, it says private property, no access, and end of the PAR. So it was great to make it all the way to the end. I'm hiding behind Eddie a bit here because it's quite windy here today. So it's such an awesome vantage spot up here though. When we drove up here, it was like, oh, where's the track go? Is this the end? And it wasn't until we were turning around that we went, oh, there it goes down the other side of the hill. So you can see it down there a bit. That's the way in from public access route number 4. This wind is quite strong up here. You see the trees blowing around a fair bit. Some lovely colour in the sides of the hills though. Again, didn't need four-wheel drive. Don't bring your soft roader in here though. You'll tear the bottom of it out. And as you can see, it's very, very rocky, so some good tyres are a must. Beautiful. We're thoroughly enjoying our time up here, based out of Parachilna Gorge, and just looking around the local area. The wind noise here was just so bad, it's just wiped out all the audio from the video, so voiceover time again. This is the Artimore Ruins. It's on leasehold. A bit of research later on showed that they used to run a lot of sheep on this property, and this was an outstation where they used to come and live, and that's why there's a couple of buildings, big fireplaces, You can see now they've fallen down quite a lot. There's actually signage there that says, hey, stay away from the building because they're structurally not sound. It's just interesting to be able to walk around them. The creek down in the gully just to the left of us is bone dry. There's a well down there somewhere. I don't know if it had water in it or not. You can see the beautiful big river gums. After we jumped back in Eddy and drove up literally a couple of 100 metres, there was another building ruin here. And walking around that, I figured that it was a shearing shed. And some research later on actually confirmed it was a shearing shed and was used for a long time. I believe it dated back into the 1800s. Lovely wildflowers. All the ruins we've been visiting on the Oodnadatta track, they were the Fettling Gang's accommodation. The Prairie Hotel dates back to the 1880s. 7 years ago, my brother and I had the feral mixed grill. I had to send him a pic of me having it again. Here we are with the Flinders Ranges in the background. Out for another day of exploring. We've just had lunch and we're at Parachilna. Old railway station from way back when. Part of the old Garn rail trail. And that there's probably pointing to the southwest at the moment. Out there is Lake Torrens. Pretty difficult to get to these days without going to particular stations and permits and whatnot. Around here you can see the remnants of the old water tower. The residence of the people that live and work here. Old station. Popular spot. There's a pub here called the Prairie Hotel. And they have a peculiar meal that I've been able to partake in twice now with my visits to Parachilna. And it's the feral mixed grill. Sounds a bit crude. You get make sure I get this right now, a piece of emu steak. Pardon me, got it wrong. A piece of kangaroo steak, an emu rissole, and a camel sausage. And very tasty. So I do recommend that when you're out and about, have something different. Don't just have the palmy like some people do. And yeah, there's some old Garn memorabilia around here. And the view, as you may have seen in the background, that's to the north now, looking at the northern Flinders. Right around there to the northwest. I'm just going to scooch you back around here past the pub, or over the pub. It's a popular spot here. And I'll just wander down here a bit more, just to give you a bit more of a taste of what we're enjoying this afternoon, which is the western side of the Flinders Ranges here is just spectacular. And as the sun heads a little further south in the afternoon, the colours there will really start popping out. So hopefully we get to share that with you a little bit later. After leaving Parachilna, we've shot up the road, took the scenic route on the dirt, of course, and we're in the historic town of Beltana. There's a few people still live here. We've just had a walk around the cemetery, and it's surprising how many people are there and the quality of work they're doing to even restore headstones, etc. over there. So congratulations to the townsfolk that are involved in doing that. This is the old general store, and they do say don't go on the site because she's a bit unstable, and by the front wall, very much so. So I'm not going to show you the whole town, just this little bit of it, just to entice you to come out here and have a look for yourself, because we're going to have a look around here for a little while this afternoon before we head back towards camp, and hopefully get some gorgeous photos on the western sides of the ranges. There's plenty of buildings out here that are private residence as well, like the old railway station. So you go out there, you can stand about 30 metres from it and take photos. Fabulous looking building. Just can't go any closer. So there's a campground just up here a little bit that we'll go and check out as well a little bit later on. So there you go. Beltana, just a very brief snippet of it for you. A sign showing the layout of the town, the old railway station, the old pub that's getting renovated, and a very old fireplace. Check out the beauty of those mountains as we head back towards camp. The massive river gum that we had here in camp, playing with some long exposure photography. How about that? Pack up morning after 5 nights here in Parachilna Gorge, and the forecast was a 50% chance of less than 1 mil. Well, I got a 50% right because it's 100% definitely getting less than 1 mil at the moment. You can hear old Drippy down here on the end of the mat because we've got our awning sloped as we always do. And I don't know if the video is going to pick it up. You can actually see the little waves of the drizzle blowing past our little mountain out here. And if I pan around, might even be able to pick up. There you go. You can see down in the northeastern part of where we are in our gorge how the rain is misting through. It's just that annoying mist at the moment. So we're going to make some brekkie. We've done a little bit of pack up. There's no rush today. We're only going about 60 kilometres. So, yeah, always the way though. Pack up day, got to get some precipitous action. A story, if I may. We're sitting here in Blinman using their very slow internet connection through our phones to upload some photos onto a Facebook page so our family can see what we're up to. Anyway, a tourist bus comes in, parks across the street, people pile out, they have a quick look around, go to the cafe, come out. Next thing, people are standing alongside Eddie and getting their photos taken. They didn't even realise we're sitting in there. You may recall from last episode at William Creek how Eddie turns heads. Well, there we were, sitting there, and people wanted to have their photo taken with Eddie. And they were from Brisbane of all places, so how about that? Anyway, on with the video. Today we left Parachilna Gorge and headed east into Blinman and got some very slow internet reception so I could upload a couple of photos for you from some of our adventures already. And we're making our way south now. And the sun's ducked away on us again. It's that sort of a day. This is the Great Wall of China. It's, I think it's about 12 kilometres south of Blinman, and then it's a couple of kilometres drive in on a pretty good dirt road. So we came in here, got our pics, thought I'd do a quick video just to show you where you are. We can't get over the beautiful greenery on the ground at the moment. We're driving through Parachilna Gorge this morning, commenting on the different shades of greens and yellows on the ground, and then we found us some emus. So if I come around here, you get to see more of these beautiful Flinders ranges off in the distance there. You can drive up here with any sort of a car. So there's bitumen road going past. So if you're in the area, take the time to just pop in here for a quick look-see, because it is truly spectacular. And as I'm finishing this up, you can hear somebody else driving in here to go and get their photo. So there we are. Great Walls of China, just above the Flinders Ranges National Park. We hadn't seen any emu for a few days, so I had to include a couple of photos here for Connie. Here's a picture of Eddie the Everest and Audrey the Icon at the Great Wall of China. Here we are entering the Flinders Ranges National Park. We've arrived at Willow Springs, home of the infamous SkyTrack four-wheel drive track. We've checked in and now we're driving back out and heading up to our private campsite. How good is this? All to ourselves. We've got to set up now and there's drizzling rain, so we'll catch you next episode. Thanks for watching.